fractions to decimals. And I want to give you just a basic reminder. This should be a review lesson on place value and decimals, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a number here. And I'm going to read that number for you using a couple tips that you should be using when you're reading decimals. Whenever I see my decimal, I can replace that with the word and. So I'm going to read this number just like normal, 18, and then I have a little poem to read the other one. First, you read the number as if there is no dot. So 18 and 21. Then you read the name of the last place value spot. The last place value spot that I have filled in here is my hundredths. So if I were to correctly read this, I would read it as 18 and 21 hundredths. Let's practice that one more time. I'm going to call on someone to see if they can help me read one of the numbers that I write. So here's my number. Okay. Michaela, can you read this number for me?
And 32 hundredths.
Good. Notice Michaela did a few things. She read the decimal point as an and then she read the last place value spot. So first she read the number as if there were no dot, then she read the name of the last place value spot. Great. Give Michaela a clap and a half. 1, 2, 3. Great work. All right, our next number that I want to practice reading, I'm going to have Blake read this one. Blake, can you read this number for me?
Pass.
Okay. Let's do Owen B. Can you read this number for me?
125 hundredths and 6.
Be careful. I want you to read this number as if this part doesn't exist. So if I gave you this number, Owen, how would you read it?
125.
Okay. Then you're going to say and. So 125 and
6.
And 6
tenths.
Yeah, say that again for me.
125 and 6 tenths.
Great job, Owen. Nice work. Good job. Let's do this one more time, another time with a new number. Give Owen B a clap and a half. That's kind of scary to be speaking right out on a Google Live. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, this next one I'm going to have Alana read for me. Okay, Alana.
29 and 16 hundredths.
Fabulous job, Alana. She used and for the decimal point, and then she read the last place value spot. Good work. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This next one's going to be a challenging one. I'm going to add a little something in here. Okay. Let's see. Shavi, can you read this one for me?
26 and 402 thousandths.
Good. Shavi, that one was a challenging one. You did an awesome job. So he read this number just like normal, 402. And then he read that last place value spot. Okay, my last one, I want to see, Reese, can you read this number for me?
45 and 32 hundredths.
Good job, Reese. Give him a clap and a half. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's just a quick review of how to say these. Now remember, when I'm talking about anything that's on the right side of my decimal, I'm talking about things that are less than 1. And so when I'm using this tenths, I can write that as a fraction. 1/10, 1/100th, 1/1000th. These are fractions, and that's how decimals and fractions are related. So if I had 3/10 and 2/100ths, I can write that 32/100ths as a decimal or as a fraction. 32/100ths. If I just had my tenth like this, I could write that as a fraction too. 3/10. We're going to go into that a little bit later, but I want to make sure you guys saw the relationship between fractions and decimals. I want to quickly review the 3 different types of numbers: standard form, word form, and expanded form. Using our example up on our board here, I'm going to actually use this number. I'll show you. The standard form of this number is 45 and 36/100ths. Standard form is AKA hashtag normal. Okay? Just write it normally. Word form is hashtag use your words, right? So I would say 45 and 36/100ths. And I'm gonna run out of room there. Okay? Expanded form is hashtag add. Okay? So I would go 40 plus 5 plus, don't freak out, I can add my decimals, 3/10 plus, I've got my 0 and 6/100ths. Oftentimes, best practice when we're writing fractions or decimals is if there's no whole, we still put a 0 there because that little decimal is teeny tiny. And if I don't see a 0 there, I might miss the fact that there's a decimal and think this is 6 whole pieces of pie, when really it's only 6/100ths of a piece of pie. So what I've done here is I've just reviewed a little bit of decimals and fractions, okay? Now I want you guys to turn in your practice book to page 361. On page 361, what they're doing is they are comparing money to fractions. And so up at the top here it says there are 100 pennies, which is the same as 10 dimes, which is the same as $1. So if I gave Luis a dollar bill, and I gave Addison 10 dimes, and I gave Karin 100 pennies, I would still be giving them the same amount of money. Now, Karin might be a little annoyed that she has 100 pennies because that's kind of clunky, right? But it's still the same value. They can still go to the dollar store and pay for something as long as there's no tax, right? Same amount of money. The same thing can be said about 100 pennies in $1, 10 dimes in $1. And what they're doing here in these pictures is they're telling you, well, 1 penny is 1/100th of $1. 1 dime is 1/10th of $1. So if we're looking at number 1 here, you can see these little gold things right here, although they're minuscule or very tiny, they are all little tiny pennies, okay? So I have 10 whole pennies here, and what I'm saying here is, well, that's 1/10 of my whole dollar. So I can write that as 1/10 or 0 and 1/10. I can do the same thing for number 2. I have 1/10, 2/10, and I can write that in 2 ways. Either 2/10 or 0 and 2/10. If I were to take this drawing here and I were to shade in 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Let's see. Bryn, could you tell me what fraction that would be?
It would be 4/10.
Good. Now, Bryn, you're not off the hook yet. You've got 4/10. How would I write that as a decimal?
0.
Decimal point.
Yeah, and then 4.
Good. 0 and 4/10. Bryn, great work. Give her a clap and a half. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Mason, I want you to try this next one for me. If I shaded in 6 of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mason, can you give me the fraction and the decimal of that? Is Mason on here right now? I don't see him. How about, let's do Karin. Can you give me the fraction and the decimal of that? You're muted, Karin. Can you unmute yourself? Jide, you are not commenting smiley faces. I still can't hear you, Karin. I'm going to call on you in just a little bit, okay? Touch the microphone and, oh, there you go. Can you tell me the...
Pass.
Okay, let's do this one together. So I would have 6/10 or 0 and 6/10. Now I can do the same type of thing, but moving it into hundredths. So instead of talking dimes, we're actually talking pennies here. So if I had 25 pennies, I would write that as 25 out of 100, or 0 and 25 hundredths. What I've done is I've added 10 plus 10 plus 5. Now, for those of you who are really thinking about this, I can also divide both of those by 25 and get 1/4. Those are equivalent fractions, but you don't have to go that far if you don't want to, okay? If I were to move over here, though, I could look and say, oh, look, here's 25 plus 25 plus 25, which is 75 hundredths, or 0 and 75 hundredths. Okay? So for this one, this last one right here, they're saying, okay, you can write this as 0 and 5/10, or 0 and 50 hundredths. What I'm saying here is I have 5 dimes or 50 pennies. Both of those options are equal. They are equivalent. Okay? Turn your page with me. I'm going to have you turn it one more time. In this one, we are now talking about some mixed numbers. So mixed numbers have a whole and some left over. So this one is talking about 25 again, or they've moved it into 1/4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, think quarters here. So they're saying, oh, I have 4/4, or I have 100 100ths, or I have 10 tenths, all equal, plus an extra 25 here. So I have 1 whole and 25 over 100. I want you to take a moment here, look at this next one, and I want you to write both the fraction and the decimal for the pennies that are represented in this picture. When you have that written, I want you to give me a thumbs up so I can see that you have it written. Nice job, Jack. Good job, Shavi. Good job, Owen. Thanks, JJ. Thanks, Megan and Karin. Thanks, Asa. Good job, Dory. I see that thumbs up. Jide, can I see your camera, please? Good job, Addie. Good. Okay. Thanks, Owen B. I saw that big thumbs up. Hi, Luis. Good. Okay. Let's see. JJ, haven't called on you yet. Can you share with me the fraction and the decimal for that number 13? Okay, how about Jack? Okay. How about Finn?
Pass.
Ah, guys, you're killing me. Okay. The fraction for this is 1 and 50 hundredths. I can write that as a decimal with 1 and 50 hundredths, or 1 and 5 tenths. Or if you guys are thinking, hey, 50 is half of 100, 1 and 1/2. Okay? Switch over to this last page here. I want you to do 15 and 16. Now you need to write this as a fraction and a decimal representing the shaded part of each whole. I'm going to be looking for thumbs up. If I see your thumb up, I'm going to call on you and you don't get to pass. You got to tell me what you have there because I need some interaction here. You're killing me. Okay? Give me a thumbs up when you've written the fraction and the decimal for 15 and 16. Go. Okay. Thumbs up I'm seeing from 15 and 16. Okay, I'm going to call on Asa for 15, and I'm going to call on Megan for 16. Asa, let's talk through 15. What did you put for your fraction and decimal for 15?
For my fraction, I did 31 hundredths.
Ooh, be careful. It's not 31, it's 30 hundredths, right?
Okay.
30 hundredths. Fabulous. How did you write that as a decimal? 0 and
30.
yes, 30 hundredths. Now, Asa did pennies. Can someone do this kind of working with dimes, with tenths for me? If you feel like you can work with tenths, wave your hand. Let me see. Yeah, I could do this in tenths. All right. O and R, how would you do that in tenths for me? You're muted right now, bud. Can you unmute yourself? How about, you got it, bud? I'm going to come back to you, okay? How about Shavi? How would I do that in tenths?
It's 3/10.
And how did you write it as the decimal?
0 and 3/10.
Now, is Asa right and Shavi right? Yeah, they are. Good. Give Asa and Shavi a clap and a half. 1, 2, 3. Megan, I called on you for 16. Talk me through your fraction and your decimal for 16.
My fraction, it was 50 hundredths or 1/2 or 0 and 50 tenths.
Ooh, 50 hundredths or 0 and 5 tenths. Good. And I can write that as a fraction as well. Good job, Megan. 1, 2, 3. Now they've turned it around on you just a little bit. For numbers 17, 18, and 19, they're asking you to shade in for the decimal that they've given you. Take a moment, shade in 75 hundredths, 9 tenths, and 1 and 1/2. Then show me your thumbs up and I'll know that I can call on you. I'm giving you guys a couple more minutes to shade those in. Okay. I'm looking for some thumbs up. Yep, I can share. I know how to explain. Okay. Awesome. O and B, I'm going to have you do 17. Who else is ready? Blake, could you do 18 for me? You're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Blake, unmute yourself. Can you do 18 for me?
I was going to do 17 because that's what
Okay, so how about Blake does 17 and O and B, you do 18. And then who wants to do 19 for me? Who can do 19 for me? Okay, Shavi, I'll have you do 19. Okay, so Blake, talk us through 18. What did you shade for 18?
I shaded 3/4 of 0.5.
Good. So you did that in fourths. Really good job. He shaded 3/4, and what Blake did for that one is he kind of split it into 25 like we did before. So there's 1, 2, 3. He also could have shaded 7 bars and then a half bar. Great job, Blake. 1, 2, 3. O and B, talk us through 18. What did you shade for 18?
I just colored in 9 bars. Since they're all 10s, so I just colored in 9 of the bars.
Awesome. Great job. 1, 2, 3. And last but not least, Shavi. You're muted, bud. Oops, where did Shavi go? I don't see Shavi anymore. He's out. I'll do this one for Shavi. Here we go. So he should have shaded one whole and then a half. So that'd be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because this is half of the whole. So 5 is half of 10. 50 is half of 100.